about, geez, I want to say less than like 10 seconds, which definitely shows how much faith Vince McMahon has in the vaudevillains, which is really sad because vaudevillains definitely deserve a break. Any tag team that comes from NXT deserves more of a break. I mean, the Hype Bros are getting really good. They're getting over as a face team. The Ascension needs a little more work. Vaudevillains need a little more work. The Usos are like the only top heel team there, which sucks because honestly, that's just a waste of tag team talent that they have there. Like I said, the ending was the American Alpha beating the Usos, but after that was over, Bray Wyatt, Luke Harper, and Randy Orton appear on the Titantron, and Bray Wyatt basically says, "You know, man, you think that you've beaten all the teams, but we are a team. You will have to go through us to get through to the tag team titles." Basically something like that. So apparently next week it's going to be Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt against American Alpha for the #1 contendership for the tag team titles. That is going to be a really good matchup. But it does raise the question, why couldn't they have just done what they've done in the past, which was have Orton and Bray just come out, decimate American Alpha, take the #1 contendership, and still you could have that matchup next week just because, really. Because American Alpha maybe could say, we weren't at 100%, we weren't expecting these guys. Give us one more shot to prove that we deserve that #1 contendership match. So that would make more sense, but unfortunately that's not what happened. Go figure. Oh well. We get to see the women in competition, which we see Becky Lynch taking on Natalya one-on-one. They're definitely building up a storyline between Natalya and Nikki Bella because I think that they're going to have it where Nikki Bella is going to finally know that Natty was the one who attacked her and took her out of Survivor Series matchup. So it's going to probably evolve into Natty still being a major heel and Nikki's going to try and be the babyface. So good luck with that, WWE. But Becky Lynch beat Natty with the disarm her, and Alexa Bliss, who was at ringside, assaulted Becky Lynch and hit a DDT on her, basically sending a message saying, "Hey, I haven't forgotten the fact that you had a controversial win. You have a win over me, but not a fair win." So it's going to be interesting to see how they build up the Becky Lynch and Alexa Bliss story. I think it's definitely going to culminate at TLC. Maybe it'll be a chairs match. I mean, wouldn't that be so bad? I could see them also doing a tables match and not like a really bad one like they did, what was it, Natty and Beth Phoenix versus Lay Cool. That was just, oh gosh, that was horrible. And then we get on to the main event, which was James Ellsworth versus AJ Styles. Basically, James Ellsworth wins. He gets his contract. This was the straw that broke the camel's back. I've never been a fan of James Ellsworth. I don't get the hype behind it. I get that he's a really good worker who takes bumps like crazy. I guess somehow they're making him into like the next Mikey Whipwreck of WWE or something like that. I don't know. He's had very little offensive moves. He does like a no chin music, and then he does punches, and that's all of his offense. This could have been a really good opportunity to have James Ellsworth look like a legitimate, wrestler, but unfortunately they made him into a comedy show during this matchup. Dean Ambrose interfered, and he took out AJ Styles, and then James Ellsworth did a no-chin music, which got AJ's foot caught in the ropes. James Ellsworth climbs the ladder, and he gets his contract, and he's officially a wrestler for SmackDown. SmackDown, you did so well until this event. Oh my gosh. Why was this the main event? Oh man. This was just horrible. And the thing is that both shows seemed to have like a lackluster of enforcement when it came to the authority, because there were like consequences that were laid out. The main event of Raw was, all the guys are banned from ringside, nobody's going to interfere, and Jericho interfered. With the main event, of course, Dean Ambrose was barred from the arena. Even though he did a couple of comedy things, he still found a way into the main event, and it just did not make any sense whatsoever. I know they're building up Dean Ambrose versus AJ Styles, but couldn't they have done it in a different way? Oh, jeez. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Why? We go into NXT, which was another very interesting show, in which we see Rich Swann almost get a victory over, I think it was Connor Reeves, was the guy's name. But then Sanity comes in, and we see them basically destroy Rich Swann. And then we see a bit of a brawl between No Way Jose and Eric Young. But basically, he gets triple teamed by everybody, and No Way Jose just gets destroyed. Now, I'm very interested in seeing what they're going to do with Sanity, because the promo that Eric Young did was really, really good. He basically talked about this generation is going to have to learn to be put in their place, and you have to learn that they're not good anymore, and that they're not going to ask for anything. They're just going to take. So that is definitely one of those things that is going to really pique my interest as far as what they're going to do with Sanity. We get into also a 6 women's tag in which we see Billie Kay, Peyton Royce, and oh my gosh, I need to remember her name. It was oh man, I feel so bad that I don't know her name. She's so good. She's like a mixed martial artist, but she's also like really good with wrestling in the ring. It's just, oh my gosh. Daria, there we go. Daria, and and they took on the team of Aaliyah, Liv Morgan, let's see how hard it was for me to say that name, and Ember Moon. The thing was that Ember Moon basically stole the show, and she basically, other than Daria. Other than, I think, Daria, Billie Kay, Peyton Royce, I think that Ember Moon basically carried her team right now. Because Aaliyah and Liv Morgan, they're still very green right now. It's still going to be a while before I can safely say, oh, hey, let's put them in singles run or a tag team run. They're not quite there yet. I've never been a fan of Liv Morgan. Aaliyah is still kind of growing on me right now. But Ember Moon is just awesome. I can't believe that they've underutilized her so much. The only other thing that happened with NXT was that they announced that in 2 weeks in Osaka, Japan, that it will indeed be the rematch between Samoa Joe and Shinsuke Nakamura for the NXT Championship. That is going to be a key. Usually I've been doing a lot of Lucha Underground, mainly because I've really lost a lot of interest when it came to NXT lately. But I am definitely going to be watching that show. That is going to be amazing. So definitely tune in 2 weeks when NXT goes to Japan. Why couldn't they have made this a takeover special? I guess because reasons. Anyway, so we now go into NXT, which was a little bit of a slower, but then again, you have to also remember that after Aztec Warfare 3, it was very much a good reason to have this be kind of a slower, more, a little bit more of a slower, more, I guess, cool-off episode. We see the Trios Championships be put on the line to kick off the show, in which Paul London and his Rabbits clan took on the team of Drago, Aerostar, and Phoenix. And it was, all in all, a pretty good matchup. They really tried to hype up Paul London so well, but I don't know. The clan is still kind of like, it's still kind of new to me, and I'm just like, well, we'll see what happens. But all in all, it was a pretty good matchup. We see the tag team champions retain. We go into the next matchup of the night, which was Dante Fox versus Killshot. all in all, this was match of the night right here. This was really good. For two guys that I have not seen lock up before, it seemed like it was the first time pairing of these guys in the ring. This was really good. You saw high-flying action. You saw great wrestling tenacity. You saw a lot of good stuff in this matchup. Definitely would go and watch this matchup. This was a matchup that really got your blood pumping and got you really excited as a wrestling fan. In the end, we saw Dante Fox hit the Fox trap, I think it was. Fox catcher, that's right, for the victory over Killshot. And it doesn't seem like this rivalry is over by a long shot. So I'm looking forward to seeing more matches between these two, whether it be tag team matches or maybe even a no disqualification. Hey, weapons of mass destruction match, bring that out. Oh my gosh, that'd be amazing. We also get into the main event, Underground Championship matchup between Sexy Star and Johnny Mundo, and a shocking ending there in which a fan was trying to show support to Sexy Star, who was basically dominated throughout the majority of this matchup. I would say 75% of it was Johnny Mundo, 25% of it was Sexy Star, which is very disappointing to see, but I guess they're going to try and make it realistic, which in that sense is fair. But the fan hit Sexy Star in the back with brass knuckles. Well, back of the head, I should say, with brass knuckles. And then we see the end of days Starship Pain maneuver by Johnny Mundo for the 1-2-3. And Johnny Mundo is the new Lucha Underground champion and only the second Triple Crown Lucha Underground champion in its entirety. And who would be the fan? None other than Taya. Oh, wow. I wish that I had not seen that coming. For a minute there, I thought it was going to be Melina again. I'm like, oh, geez, is Melina back? And then she revealed out to be Taya. I'm like, oh, well, that actually makes more sense. So that was Lucha Underground in a nutshell. A bit of a cool-off episode. But all in all, it wasn't bad. It wasn't like a horrible show. So we go into TNA Impact. Just going to talk briefly about this whole deal that's going on with, I guess, Broken Matt Hardy, really. So basically, for those of you that missed it, a few weeks ago, Matt Hardy fell off of a forklift that when they were battling the DCC, and he has this amnesia deal. So for the past few weeks, they've been trying to get his memory going and keep it and bring back Broken Matt Hardy. And this week was no different, really, in which they focused mainly on that. They had one of their friends come in and show, like, matches. This was actually pretty funny because the guy shows that he beat EC3 twice, and Matt Hardy just goes out and says, so basically what you're saying here is that since I have 2 victories over EC3 for the world title, that, you know, EC3 is my bitch. I'm like, oh, God, that's horrible, but that's just true how they spell it out there. And that didn't do anything. Rebby brought in a who found a way to bring back the Broken Hardy just for a brief period of time, because as soon as he says, when I snap my fingers, you will be, you know, your one true self, snaps his fingers, and then he just goes back to being normal. Finally, Rebby and Broken Matt, they get into a little bit of an argument, saying, I want to, you know, bring you back. I want to try, but you're not really even trying. And Matt's just saying, I'm trying, but I don't want to be that guy. And then he walks out, basically screaming, I don't want to be that guy who brings violence and, you know, destruction. I want to be the one who does, you know, nice things and who makes gelato and mandarin orange juice and lemonade and blah, 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 blah. And he basically cries out to the heavens, if the 9 deities are real, let them show me a sign. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me correct myself, thanks to my beautiful wife. If the 7 deities are here, let them send me a sign. Next thing you know, he gets zapped by lightning, and he falls to the ground. Rebby comes out, and she says, are you okay, Matt? Are you okay? And Matt just slowly comes to, and he just slowly opens his eyes and smiles, and he says, I am broken. He just starts laughing, and he's like, ah. You